Dinosaur, a creature whose very name, meaning terrible hands, emerged long before the world even knew what the rest of its body looked like. For half a century, the fossil record offered only a pair of colossal arms, each stretching over 2 meters, inviting speculation, fear, and mystery. But today, with the full skeleton uncovered, we can finally step into the life of one of the strangest, most misunderstood giants ever to walk the earth. Dinosaur was a true anomaly of the late Cretaceous, a towering ornithomimosaur unlike any of its relatives. Standing up to 11 feet tall at the hips and stretching more than 10 meters from snout to tail, it moved across the wetlands of ancient Mongolia with a lumbering but steady gait. Its body was bulky and pot-bellied, with a duck-like bill, a long sweeping tail, and those iconic arms, massive, claw-tipped, and shockingly powerful. Unlike carnivorous giants, Dinosaur lacked sharp teeth, instead sporting a broad, flattened beak perfect for grazing, tugging vegetation, and scooping aquatic plants. Its body was covered in proto-feathery structures that helped regulate heat, giving it a shaggy, somewhat bird-like appearance. Its voice, unlike the deep roars typical of pop culture dinosaurs, would have been low and resonant, more akin to a giant emu or cassowary. Scientists believe it may have used low-frequency vibrations to communicate across dense marshes, sending rhythmic pulses that carried farther than ordinary calls. This would have been essential for maintaining contact within groups across the vast nemeged floodplains. Dinosaur lived around 70 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous, inhabiting what is now the Gobi Desert region of Mongolia. But back then, this landscape was nothing like the barren dunes of today. It was a thriving ecosystem of forests, expansive river deltas, and lush wetlands flooded during seasonal rains. The nemeged basin was a paradise for semi-aquatic species, and Dinosaur fit perfectly into this dynamic world. It spent much of its day wading through mudflats and shallow streams, feeding on soft plants, aquatic vegetation, and the occasional fish or small animal that happened to be swept into its reach. Evidence from stomach contents even suggests it swallowed stones, gastroliths, to help grind its food, behaving more like giant birds than typical dinosaurs. Its preferred habitat offered safety in numbers. Although Dinosaur was enormous, it was not invincible. Tarbosaurus, the apex predator of its time, prowled the same marshes. Its massive arms were not weapons built for killing, but for defense, capable of creating wide slashing arcs or pushing predators away. When threatened, Dinosaur likely relied on its size, intimidation posture, and heavy four-limb swings to deter attackers. If that failed, it could flee through shallow water, where its broad, weight-distributing feet allowed it to move effectively despite its great mass. Reproduction among Dinosaurs remains partly speculative, but parallels with related species reveal likely behaviors. During the breeding season, males may have displayed by raising their feathered back crests, producing deep vibrations, and widening their chests to appear more dominant. Courtship probably included slow, rhythmic arm movements, large, sweeping gestures, visible across long distances in open floodplains. Nesting would have taken place on raised, dry patches of land, safe from flooding. Females likely laid clutches of elongated eggs, which both parents may have guarded. Young Dinosaur would have been vulnerable, relying on concealment in vegetation and the protection of adults. Their diet of soft plants and small aquatic life made feeding them manageable in marsh environments rich in resources. Life in these wetlands was shaped by seasonal extremes. During wet periods, rivers overflowed and Dinosaur thrived in the abundance of aquatic plants. During dry seasons, its nomadic nature allowed it to travel long distances in search of food, using its great height to scan the landscape for greener patches. It likely rested in shaded areas near water bodies, spending much of its time standing or slowly walking, rather than lying down due to its enormous weight. Like many late Cretaceous species, Dinosaur met its end during the mass extinction event triggered by the Chicxulub's asteroid impact 66 million years ago. the sudden collapse of ecosystems, first through global darkness, then collapsing food chains, acid rain, and massive temperature swings, destroyed the wetland environments it depended on. Large herbivores unable to adapt quickly were among the first to disappear. Floodplains dried, plants died, and aquatic systems collapsed. Without stable vegetation and safe water sources, Dinocaris could not survive. If Dinocaris somehow existed today, its survival would depend on finding environments similar to its ancient homes. Modern Earth has wetlands, marshes, and river deltas, but far fewer expansive floodplains capable of supporting such massive herbivores. With human encroachment and shrinking habitats, its survival would be difficult. Yet, in protected reserves like the Everglades or the Okavango Delta, it might adapt, appearing as a shaggy, semi-feathered giant wader, grazing along reed beds and using its long arms to dig for roots or defend itself from large predators. In a modern setting, its appearance might slightly shift. With warmer climates and year-round vegetation, it might develop brighter feather patterns for visual communication, or lose some mass for easier movement on softer ground. Its lifestyle would resemble that of giant herbivore birds combined with large mammals, acting as a keystone species that shapes its environment through constant grazing and movement. Dinocaris remains one of the most fascinating dinosaurs ever discovered, not because of ferocity or speed, but because of its bizarre mixture of traits. It was part duck, part ostrich, part giant sloth, and completely unique. Among the strange giants of the Cretaceous, it stood alone, a towering reminder of how diverse and imaginative evolution can be. Aren't you curious about what these giant Dinocaris would have looked like when they were alive? Let's take a look at some visuals created with AI based on fossil studies. That's all for today. I hope this video infotained you well. Make sure to like and subscribe for upcoming videos.